The biggest threat that certainly everybody probably knew, but it was forced upon us, is you've got to be proactive in evaluating your needs. And that's what Comcast is here for. When we started this, experiencing this pandemic, we had our teams proactively reaching out to some of our customers to assess their network, be able to provide those bandwidth upgrades. We had many who realized that they did have some holes in their security needs, and we were able to close those gaps as well. So I think the best thing any customer can do as they think about this from a long-term standpoint is constantly be evaluating the ever-changing environment, because while things are returning to what you might describe as the new normal, the reality is, particularly over the next 6 to 12 months, companies are still going to be figuring out, how do they want to work? Do they want to return to an office full-time? Do they want to continue to have individuals working from home? Are they going to have some sort of hybrid, and what pressure does that put on their network? What different security needs will they need from that to enable them to take care of their people so that they can continue to function as a business and be successful? In a 2020 IDC study, about 65% of organizations said that they were happy with leadership, brand, and operational resiliency on the offset of the pandemic. But only 59% were happy with technology resilience, showing that there's still work to do. 52% of organizations plan to make some improvements to the resiliency of their technology. So over half of organizations are talking about how do they improve resiliency. The other thing that definitely we learned, we had to be able to adapt quickly, just like the other organizations. So certainly to continue to run smoothly and securely, now more than ever, resiliency and agility is important in a network. Think proactively about your network, not reactively, and be intentional about listing out not only what your needs are today, but what you anticipate your needs will be 6 months from now, 12 months from now. And then choose a network that enables you to be proactive and offers the flexibility of both short and long-term planning. Now more than ever, because so many interactions are being done digitally, individuals do want to be able to interact with businesses on their time in the way they want to, and want it more personalized. So when I think about, just the evolution of the last 2 years, so much is done through connectivity. There is an expectation that the experience becomes more personalized. And with that comes the need for better support of AI, analytics, that virtual reality space, that a customer might want to interact with Tony and his team through virtual reality. So it's going to be really interesting. I think the other thing that'll happen is, as a way for businesses to invest in their culture, the collaboration tools are going to continue to evolve as well.
But to say the same as our mission. Our mission is always to make sure that our customers are connected all the time. We use a phrase, always on. So that's been our core focus for the last couple of decades, and it continues to evolve into stronger and stronger technologies and innovation to ensure that happens. We saw a 30% spike kind of across the company, in California, just a little bit north of that, in capacity, as everybody shifted from a work from the office to a work from home. And I just couldn't have been more proud of the way that our network was able to stand up to it. We had a couple of hot spots. We addressed them quickly, and then got out in front of that and did over 2,000, capacity augments, in the first 12 months alone, just to stay ahead. Additionally, over the past few years, we've come across things and experienced things that we had never in the history of the industry, and I've been doing this 40 years, have ever experienced. Unprecedented number of fires, And then to prevent those going forward, we've all been, working around the public safety power shutoffs. Proud to say that in the areas that are most prone for this, we are now able to support our network for, 72 hours of, for 72 hours in the absence of commercial power. The world has changed so dynamically that we have now shifted our thinking to match and think about the unthinkable. We're always going to continue to push the boundaries of innovation and what's possible, which is the exciting part of this business and our industry. For us, we have a multitude of different customers that we support. Residential customers, people now that are residential customers working from home, and then big businesses. And today in big businesses, milliseconds matter. And so we are continuing to invest to grow our fiber network, to reduce the routing, to decrease the amount of time it takes to get from point A to point B. And then for the rest of our customers, we're on a voyage or on a journey, I guess. We'll call it the road to 10G is what we call it internally. It's the road to 10 gigabits. And for us, it's about where we get to providing all of our customers a minimum of 10 gig symmetrical speeds, either at the home, and then obviously we can do a lot more than that in our businesses. But today, 10 gig is a dream within the home, right? And we think that is going to become a reality over the next several years. We're beginning that journey already. But, I'm excited about it because not only are we going to be building in more capacity along with those speeds, but the resiliency and the intelligence within the electronics that will make that dream a reality are going to help this network become more reliable and self-healing and self-identifying of issues that we can get ahead of before the customer even recognizes it's there.
We work with Comcast, obviously, in configuring our network, and we build resiliency into that so that we have connectivity. But really, it's about people and people's ability to be resilient through those disasters. And certainly that came true during the pandemic, where we had all of our employees in the back office move out to work from home. And our ability to do that, increase our bandwidth through Comcast, while also keeping people connected, keeping people motivated, keeping people focused on the mission of the organization was hugely impactful. We were fortunate. We had already joined the Comcast as our primary network, and so they run our network out to our 25 some odd branches, and they also run our network out to the internet. And so we were able to on the fly increase our bandwidth with one phone call, and within minutes we had more bandwidth. As we increased the number of people who were coming in through VPN, because Comcast was able to burst our speeds, our bandwidth speeds, we were able to support somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 people working from home. And frankly, the only cost to us really was cameras. We had to invest in some cameras. Of course, in the middle of the pandemic, there was a surge in camera purchases. So finding cameras was probably the more difficult piece of this. But from an infrastructure perspective, we were already well prepared because we were already a Comcast business partner. We see a couple of things happening, actually several things. So I don't think it's any surprise by most people that you'll continue to see hybrid work environments where people work from home some days of the week or a week out of the month or whatever, and then they work sometimes in the office. I don't see, for us anyway, going 100% remote, just because the cultural impacts are so great. We are starting to investigate tools for our staff to be able to do on tablets or on mobile devices some of their work. But what's, I think, more interesting coming in the future is virtual reality and augmented reality, where you're starting to see more businesses have presence in the virtual reality space. And I do believe we're going to see a kind of a shift, if you will, or at least an alternative alternative activities being done in virtual reality. The question is, what's that going to look like? What's it going to feel like? What metaverse are you going to actually be sitting in? Are you have to sit in multiple metaverses? Those are all questions to be determined. But I do see a shift towards more of that, which means more digital, which means more bandwidth, which means more resiliency, which means more availability for your team.